Hey, and welcome back to Webby Fairs. Today I'm going to do Instagram Live with a current student at Trinity College, Dublin. He's a student from South Africa, so it's always great to get that international student perspective and find out what it's really like on campus at Trinity in Dublin, in Ireland. If you are new to Webby Fairs are a free platform where students can come and meet with many university representatives at once. You can talk directly to the admissions officers, and it's super easy to get answers to all of your questions. It's just a great way to kind of make the most of your time and be able to research study abroad opportunities. Now we have Alex coming on. I think he just joined. Let's see. Alex. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Great. Hi, Alex. How's Ireland today?
Pretty cold.
Yeah, it looks kind of cold.
Colder than South Africa, that's for sure.
Yeah, so do you want to start out just by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about kind of what you're doing at Trinity?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Alex. I'm from Johannesburg in South Africa, and I studied my undergrad in mechanical engineering at the University of Cape Town. I was then offered a job at Airbus, which was meant to start in September this year, but for reasons we won't discuss, was deferred to next year. So yeah, I thought, why not in the meantime go and get myself a master's, and that brought me to Trinity and to Ireland. So now I'm doing my master's in energy science, which might not seem like something that's exactly connected to aviation, but obviously planes fly off combusting fuels. So whilst it's not necessarily electricity energy, it can definitely be used in other forms of energy for transportation.
Great. Yeah, so tell me about that connection. I know a little bit about the Masters in Energy Science program at Trinity, and I know that your cohort of co-students is very diverse, some specializing in chemistry and some in, I don't even know, other things. I'm not a science person, but I know that it's super diverse. But are you the only engineering background? Or...
No, so I came with a friend of mine from South Africa. He also studied engineering, and then there's another mechanical engineer from Trinity. Yeah, I think there's some chemists, there's some environmental scientists,
Yep.
And then I think there's 2 engineers from China. So it's probably about half engineers and then half people who maybe did physics, chemistry, or environmental science undergrads.
Sciences, got it. Okay, so what is that like? I mean, how do you all work together and sort of collaborate on the overall, bigger picture of energy science?
So, of course, it's been a bit difficult because we've been working sort of remotely and not together and having classes together. But we've been doing some Zoom calls with each other and sort of helping each other with the areas. So I'm not great at chemistry. I've only done pretty limited amount of it, so that's what I found the hardest so far. Whereas the physics stuff I've been quite comfortable on. So I've been offering sort of I've been helping with the physics side, and then last night I actually had a Zoom call with another guy in the class. He did chemistry, so he was able to sort out a lot of questions that I had. So we've been sort of able to collectively, I suppose, be good at everything, if that would make sense.
Absolutely, that does. So now as you mentioned, you were going to start a job in aviation, but that's, that's on hold for right now. So what are your plans, after you finish the energy science masters? Are you thinking of going back to aviation in another, like sort of a different capacity, or?
So I'm still signed on a contract for next year, which is very exciting. It's It sounds cliched, but it's a dream come true for me personally. So I think I'll do the original grad program, which is not related to energy. And then perhaps after that, if, I get offered a permanent position at the company, then I could definitely steer that in the direction of applying what I've learned will be learning throughout, I think it's about 8 more months. So yeah, for the immediate future, my career path might not necessarily involve some of the stuff I'm learning now, but definitely there's loads of opportunity to sort of use it later on in aviation.
Great. And I want to ask also about your transition as a student. Going from South Africa to now you're in Ireland. What was that like? Have you traveled extensively abroad before coming over, or was this like a totally new experience?
So I've been very fortunate to have had the opportunities to travel. So it wasn't really a new experience for me visiting another country, but it was the first time I'd lived in another country. Um, and obviously now is not the easiest time to, be moving because it can be quite difficult to meet
Yeah.
other people. But I think it's actually gone much easier than I was expecting. It's helped that I've had a friend come with me from home. We went to
Yeah.
school together, so we know each other very well. But I also feel like since March, most of my friendships have sort of been remote anyway.
Yeah.
So nothing really changed between me living here and living in South Africa in a way. It's funny, but that's sort of how it's felt.
No, that absolutely makes sense. I think we're all kind of feeling a little bit of that. So, I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter where you are.
Yeah,
I live in a city, and I wanted to live in a city because then you get all the convenience of, the museums and the food and the music and everything. But at this point, it's like I could live anywhere. It doesn't really
yeah,
matter. My lifestyle
yeah.
is not really very much influenced by my surroundings. So that's interesting. But obviously, you are in a new country, and you are sort of in Ireland at Trinity. Living in a new country for the first time. And what does that feel like? Like, are you, as an international student, do you feel welcome? Do you feel supported? Do you feel like there's a lot of other things going on?
I definitely feel supported. Um, I mean, the class as a whole, it's about 50%, maybe 50 to 60% international. So there's
That's
a lot of
great.
us in the same boat.
Yeah.
The Irish people in my class have also been super welcoming. And then the Irish people in general,
Yeah.
I've never felt any sort of animosity or anyone kind of going, oh, it's just another South African or anything like that. I felt very welcomed. I've found it very exciting to sort of be exploring a new place and finding my own local, coffee place or something totally new. So I've really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I haven't obviously experienced that much because a lot of stuff's, not really been on
Yeah.
the cards. But I've felt really welcomed and, people seems like they're excited to have me here. So it's great.
So what are some of those experiences that you have had as an international student in Ireland that are, like, totally new? You're really experiencing something totally new for the first time, or like what surprised you about living in a new place?
Uh, well, the first is the weather. It hasn't been
Full
raining too much,
disclosure.
but it's been cold. So it's been been learning a bit about living in the cold. So and the seagulls. I don't know if you can hear that horrible noise.
Yeah, they're very loud.
So yeah, the cold's been one thing. But also in South Africa, I've never really lived a life of walking around much or cycling to friends' houses, and kind of it's always been in cars and in Ubers and whatnot. So it's been quite fun to get to explore a city by foot. And I bought myself a bike and I've just ridden around and gotten used to public transport, which back home was never really a feature in my life. So that's
Yeah.
probably what I've enjoyed the most is this additional level of personal freedom.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting observation. I like that. So as a final question for you, I'm hoping that you can tell us a little bit about one of the projects that you're working on for your classes. Any insider information you can give us on something cool that you're working on?
Um, I'm actually just working on an assignment today, um, but we're basically studying the physics and the chemistry of batteries and how to study in depth the reactions. Um, at each there's sort of two components in a battery. one where electron transfer takes place and the other where electron absorption takes place, and understanding the processes that define each of those. So yeah, I did a laboratory last week, Friday, I think it was. So now I'm just writing up the report and kind of coming up with some quantitative numbers and understanding of what actually happens in something that we use every single day on our computers and our cell phones. So that's what I'm doing today and at the moment, and that's quite cool. Then we have another assignment on combustion, so on different fuels and their properties, how clean they are when they burn, which is obviously important for their pollution. So those are the two major projects we're working on at the moment.
That's great, and I love how actually surprisingly general those are, you know, and I
Yeah,
guess it makes sense because you have, you know, we've talked about the fact that you have so many different student colleagues from different backgrounds and, you know, different countries and everything, and so you can all take something that seems so specific, like energy science, and apply it to so many different careers and so many different, you know, like you can obviously take this clean fuel burning back to aviation and apply it there. What are some of the
absolutely.
other jobs that you expect to see your co-students ending up in after this?
So we had a literature review assignment maybe a month and a half ago, in which case you were pretty much allowed to choose your own topic. So there you could get a feel for, you know, what each person was interested in.
Yeah.
Some were interested in nuclear, others in wind, some stuff on solar, and then some electric vehicles. So yeah, I would expect there's 12 of us in the class. I think two chose electric vehicles, two chose solar. So I think as a collective, I mean, we're really researching. When I say minor introductory research into, you know, so many different fields of what one would hope is the future of energy. So that's been quite interesting. So I would imagine 20 years time to hopefully see some of my classmates at the forefront of green energy.
Yes, and the coolest thing about having this international experience as a, you know, as an international student in another country studying abroad is that you are making all those connections with all of your students in your class, you know, so you're able to kind of take those and you'll have all these global connections all over the world now for the rest of
Yeah,
your life that you
that'll
can use for, you know, professionally and personally and all of that. So that's great. That's I think my favorite thing about studying abroad is the connections that you make inevitably, whether you want to or not. Great. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat
no
with me
worries.
today. Tell us about the energy science program,
Great.
and we wish you the best of luck. Is your semester ending pretty soon? Are you doing
Yeah,
final
next week
tests?
Friday we go on a break.
All right. Well, enjoy that, and thank you so much again.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye bye.